of Johnsburg, May 7, 2019, regular meeting of the President's Board of Trustees, order at 7 p.m. On the roll call, Trustee Clemson. Here. Trustee Frost. Here. Trustee Hagan. Here. Trustee Curry. Here. Trustee McAvoy and Trustee Hutchinson. Can we stand for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First order of business, could Trustee Hutchinson step forward, please? I don't know if it's a sad day or a happy day for Mary Lou.
Depends on who you're asking.
On behalf of the residents of the Village of Johnsburg, appreciation and recognition of your 12 years of dedicated service to the village as trustee and chairman of the Community Affairs, Finance, and Ordinance Committee. Thank you, Mary Lou Hutchinson, this May 2013, Village of Johnsburg, and from us and the trustees. Thank you very much. And Mary Lou has raised us to a new level on many of the committees, so especially Finance, before she got here, didn't have the reports that we have now. So you got a lot more paper, but they are better.
All the good times that we've been through and all the things that we've had to fight through and work
You know
to
what?
accomplish.
That's right. And you'll never come probably to another ordinance or celebration of the park, so I can talk you into running for a second.
Oh. But anyway, term limits, I'm a big believer in term limits. So I've served my 3 terms, which I think is more than enough. Now we just have to convince those folks in Washington at the state level that they
There you
have
go.
term limits. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. All right. Okay, with that done, Mary Beth Foreman, please step forward and we'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the codes and ordinances of the Village of Johnsburg,
codes and ordinances for the Village of Johnsburg,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustees according to the best of my ability.
I will faithfully
Discharge.
discharge the duties of the Village of Johnsburg to the best of my ability.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Okay.
Well, let's try that witness. She's very good at being a witness. And that was ladies first, so next. Mr. Curry. Thomas Edwards. Let's open for one more friends. Pictures of Suck it in. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the codes and ordinances of the Village of Johnsburg,
and the codes and ordinances of the Village of Johnsburg,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And I guess we saved the best for last.
Congratulations, sir.
Stay through me. You're up.
Right.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the codes and ordinances of the Village of Johnsburg,
and the codes and ordinances of the Village of Johnsburg,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Village Trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From the floor, any public comments? Skip? Nothing to say? Well, we appreciate you being here. Can I have a motion to approve the omnibus agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion by trustee Curry, seconded by
I'll second.
trustee Hagan. Discussion on the motion. Does anybody want anything pulled?
Can we pull the fence issue?
The what?
Fence?
Yes, we can. Pulling the fence issue, that was what was discussed at the last meeting.
I see.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, with everything else being accepted, on the roll, trustee Foreman,
Aye.
trustee McAvoy,
Aye.
trustee Curry, trustee Hagan,
Aye.
trustee Frost, and trustee Clemstein. Motion carried. Okay, can we have a motion to approve ordinance 19-20-1, granting the variance to section 7, fences of the Johnsburg zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 1912 River Terrace Drive. We have a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion by trustee McAvoy, seconded by trustee Curry. Discussion on the motion. Kevin?
I just want to find out how do we land on this thing?
What this is approving is what we recommended, that the fence be wrought iron or that aluminum
Structural seal.
structural steel fence, and that chain links would not be allowed.
All right.
And that's consistent of what we have approved up until this point. Concerns?
No.
Or that was a concern? Okay.
Ed, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
It says, maybe I got the wrong one, but when I printed up, so it said, it's on whereas, second paragraph, so it said request to accommodate a chain link fence no more than 5 feet in height.
But you need to continue to read, then it
Oh,
goes
I
on
got
to
you,
say it was
gotcha.
recommended and
I
back
understand.
here.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, thank you, sorry,
you bet, no problem.
it helps.
He's putting them in his trustee Clemstein and after his homework.
Spent all my time in the water and sewer, we'll have later.
Okay. Any other concern, Craig?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Go ahead.
Do we change the ordinance at some point to just allow these, so it's not it seems like we're getting more and more of them.
Well, we're not allowing chain link fences, that was the
Well, right.
question.
Oh, no, absolutely. But we've approved several of these variances, so at some point, are we gonna just change the ordinance?
Claudette, you want to address that?
Yeah, I can
please?
address that. It's interesting, the zoning board, actually, Planning and Zoning Commission, when they reviewed fences, recently we made major amendments in the last year to the fence ordinance. They discussed that at length, whether or not, given the very specific specs, whether they should just allow it on waterfront properties. But then the more discussion they had, they felt a little uncomfortable with just carte blanche allowing it without taking a look at a case-by-case basis what the situation was.
That satisfactory?
It is.
Thomas, Edward, Curry? Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Any other concerns? Don't worry, Mary, Beth, Eve,
Well, I don't know if you want me chiming in on this.
Yes, please, you're a member of the ordinance.
Only because it was a topic on the last time we met, and the neighbor next door had chain link, and while our preference is to have that aluminum or wrought iron look along the river, you know, they actually were talking wood fence, which we kind of kiboshed, and, you know, we reluctantly agreed to the chain link, thinking because the neighbor had it. But ideally, we do go with the wrought iron look going forward.
I think the consideration of the board at the last discussion was that, yeah, they had it, but, you know, that was back in the 40s, and now we're in the, you know, 2000s.
And nobody really likes chain link, I think.
No,
so-
I mean,
So,
and, I mean, even if it was the coated kind or something, I don't know, you know, but it still would not look right, you know? So I don't think, you know, we set the precedents. I think we want to keep the precedents, and I think from now on, the staff and will know that that's what we're going to accept, and that's what you got to go forward to, but. Okay. Any other discussion? With there being none, trustee Klumstein?
Aye.
Trustee Frost?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee McAvoy?
Aye.
And trustee Foreman? Motion carried. Okay. Under the President's report, the first thing I'd like to touch base on is the David G. Dominguez Municipal Facility. We solicited 9 firms. We received 7 that responded. Okay. The committee interviewed 3, and we all picked the same one, which was Kluber and Associates, and we were very comfortable with them. They're known for doing projects of this type. They don't try to push budgets above budgets. You know, we're not going to build something we can't afford, and we felt very comfortable with them. With that, I'm going to let Tim chime in a little bit, because we will have them at the next meeting for you guys to ask questions before we get too involved with them and go into the first stage of planning. Okay? So Tim, you want to pick up from there a little bit?
Yeah. What we'll be doing in the next week and a half is letting all 3 of them know who was selected, and then we will begin the process of having them prepare a professional services agreement, or PSA, which will outline how the project will go with the duration, schedule, and then we're going to ask them for the first, I'll say, phase or task, along with a budget, so that we can have them come on the 21st, and you'll have that for your packet, so you can get a clear understanding of how this process will go, with concept, schematic, and then design documents, and then construction drawings, to get to the ultimate goal of getting it bid and then built in 2020. And so you will have the project manager, the lead architect, and then you'll also have the design architect show up. They'll introduce themselves, and then they'll go over at a high level their scope, schedule, budget, and then we would look forward to a recommendation to enter into that agreement so that they can get started. The first phase is data collection, interviews with the staff, getting to understand the flow of the day-to-day operations, visiting with the police, visiting with the administrative staff, and then start to brainstorm and build upon the space planning analysis that our committee did. And then they'll also start looking with us at the site civil portion of how it lays out once we get some blocks or some balloons kind of organized. So this process takes 3, 4, 5 months. So again, I mean, from start to finish. So our goal is to be done, finished, and through before the holidays. So then we can actually be with a bid package ready to go right after the holidays, when the contractors are hungry, and award in the spring. So when the weather breaks, we have our game plan. We've done our public outreach. We've done our education of what we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're paying for it, et cetera. So it'll be a pretty dynamic process. They'll be meeting with, like I said, the staff, but at key milestones, they'll be coming back before this board and sharing not only findings, recommendations, you'll get to make all the choices, and then the budgets follow with that, and stay on task with that budget and schedule from the very beginning. That's what we really liked about Kluber.
I think we really like the fact that they emphasize this is your building.
you know, we want you to be comfortable with what we're doing. We're not gonna try to push you into something that you don't want, you know, or over the hill. There's a lot of requirements when we combine the police station with this facility, that get quite involved for the police station part of it. So, I think we all felt comfortable that they had the experience. We weren't gonna go through a learning curve with somebody that didn't have that experience of designing that type of facility.
And their RFQ, or request for proposal, their qualification package is available here if you'd like to read through it, and you'll see how complete and comprehensive it is. References experience in the last 7 years, you know, their process, their workflow, their team. So again, everyone put together a very nice package, but theirs rose to the top amongst our committee.
And we all fed feedback back to Claudette, and ironically, we all did not pick first, second, and third in the same order, but we all picked the first in that order, so we were 100% in agreement with you.
Okay. Any questions? With there being none, I know Claudette sent out a memo and email on the Safe Routes to School grant that she wrote. It was all done in-house with our village engineer. I'd like to thank Tim for doing a superb job on putting the plan together, and something that would meet the qualifications of the grant. There was 168 received, okay, 28 projects awarded, only 2 in McHenry County, us and Cary. The maximum was $200,000, and Claudette's work and Tim's work, we received $195,768. So that will hook the sidewalk up from by the old police station, or current police station, to the bridge, and then put a crosswalk by Reed with the flashing lights and stuff, and a sidewalk down to the bridge on the bank side. So that will all be taking place this spring. So thank you, Claudette and Tim, for a great job.
Thank you. Nice job. Nice job.
Hey, I have a question about that.
Yes.
So it's gonna be on the bank side?
No, it's going to be on the north side.
So it's gonna be an extension of what we already have?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But there will be a crosswalk
Right.
at Reed that crosses over and then goes a sidewalk in front of the bank to hook up with the crosswalk, so you're not crossing at the bridge.
Right.
Correct?
That's correct.
Is it coming across at the bank or our property?
They'll be coming across by Pramor,
Right.
we'll go
Right.
up the Reed,
Intersection.
cross Reed, go across the intersection, and then from police station to the bridge, hook up the sidewalk.
And it will be placed as far out of the right-of-way, just because if there's ever future improvements by McDOT or us or development, the sidewalk's already out to the limits of the right-of-way. Just like it is on Johnsburg Road, it's 1 foot off the right-of-way. So that's what
Well,
we'll do.
it's just desperately needed there. It's so terrible trying to walk.
And McHenry County DOT reviewed our pre-final plans ahead of time. Claudette got a letter of support from Jeff. And then obviously it's in there right away, but because of our IGA and our partnership, they added to our point value by supporting.
And any of the residents we know that supported it too, I mean, that came out and wrote letters that how well it was needed, that all helped us get the points that we needed. But I think it's pretty fantastic that we've gotten the grant money for Church Street, grant money for Johnsburg Road that we needed, and now sort of ties the pieces together because we got a good team. So,
when do we expect construction of it?
You know, I don't know that yet. We haven't, you know, they have to do the official award documentation to us. I believe it's an 18-month maximum, though, so it's gonna happen swiftly. It's just a question of, you know, how quickly this gets all sewn up before.
Yeah, we're playing with their
winter
money,
comes
so
again.
we have to play by their rules and fill out all
Right.
the paperwork and reports. And then they give you the green light, put the money in the account, then we can spend. But the work we did up front was we created the pre-final plans. So it's really, you know, a matter of just title page and a couple details, and we're ready to go.
Like everything, the money's the big problem, we're ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something Claudette and I talked about a little bit, just that the property that has Lunchbox Tattoo and then Grandma Pam's, they don't have a paved driveway.
Right.
It's low and muddy and a mess. So once that sidewalk goes in there, are we?
Well, you'll have an approach probably on one side, but.
Yeah.
We're just gonna match the grades that are out there, and again, take a look at it, so it's flat ADA.
Mhm.
Again, if we have to add a little bit of gravel, this project is not a road reconstruction.
Right.
So we'll tie in where we can, and then maybe when the sidewalk's in, that'll give them a point to tie from the road, to the edge of the road to the sidewalk, and then from the sidewalk to their building.
We'll try
We're gonna
to,
work with everybody.
we'll try to work with them too and see if we can get something done with it. I mean, I think Claudette and I have had long discussions about all the letters that we send out and how we can, sort of sugarcoat it that, we can't force you to do all this, but we'd like you to do some of this. And it's been a long time, it's been 20 years, we grandfathered in, and
Yeah, I'd like our sidewalk to go in first, so
Mhm.
we make sure drainage, it's sloped to the
Right.
road,
Yeah.
then they can tie there, so we'll let them know that, and that way it'll be easy for them to match.
regardless, it will be a better scenario than this.
Right. Yeah.
How much of the total cost of the project does this cover?
Should be
All
100%.
It's 100% grant.
It's not a 20% where we gotta match 20% or match anything, it's covered.
Great.
And the engineer estimates are always right on, we don't have to worry about that with our plans. Okay. The other thing I'd like to recognize is, Kim's not here tonight, but Claudette and Kim and the Finance Committee for the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting that we have just received for the third year in a row, for transparency in our fiscal reporting, and thanks to Claudette and Kim. I think it's pretty good for a village our size to have a team like that we can constantly get that recognition, so I'm really happy to report that. The next thing I'd like to report on is Leonard Park. Leonard Park, we received a donation of a really nice lot on Whispering Ridge from Mr. Leonard for a park, and we don't have a park on that side of the river. I'm visualizing, and he visualized something that maybe we could have over there for like Running Brook Park, okay, because we don't have one over there. Similar to that, which will take the park donations as they come in from that subdivision, which took 10 years, I realize it, Running Brook, or 15, and do the same thing, and we'll develop that, so it's something we can start planning on.
Where's that located in?
Leonard Park is in Whispering Ridge, next to Radicon.
Where's the property?
The lots of, that corner
The
lot.
lot's right at the corner lot,
Lot
right?
12.
It's an acre lot.
So we'll get you something.
It's towards the back.
The other thing on that is I want to emphasize that all the committees overlap, You're going to always have people giving information, input on parks, just like we're always going to have people, everyone on these committees giving information to Greg on financing. That's the job. The reason of the committees is to do it that way so that we have that many more opinions moving forward. And that's why we formed all the committees in the first place. We wanted all those opinions to move forward, okay? So, we want to always have some type of sketch plan that we follow when we talk about stuff, but it doesn't mean it's cast in stone, because by the time that park gets done, it might not even be the six of you or me sitting here. It could be totally different people with different ideas, because that park will take a while, because as the donations come in from that subdivision, we'll move forward. Doesn't mean that we might elect to move forward sooner, Trustee Curry had a big winning at the community club. You might want to throw something in there, and start developing the park or something. So anyways, he didn't buy a drink with that $25, so I just...
So it's just an idea, but we want everybody's opinion on all the committees, you know, when we have the committee reports, we all look at the plan, we all see what we're doing, and we all give opinions, so you can take that back to your committee. And I want all the committees, I'll be trying to visit them all now, that were in that period where I send out the letters, do you want to stay, do you want to leave? That always happens in April, or May, and the beginning of June. And we try to tie everything in with the board changing and the new elected officials, that happens right afterwards. So if you have somebody that doesn't want to be on your committee, that's fine, let us know. We know times change, people's change, priorities change, you know, wives get sick, husbands get sick, you know, and that kind of stuff. So we appreciate everybody that served, but we want to have that communication back and forth, okay? On that note, committee appointments, I know that it went out late today, but we would like to get, especially with Beth leaving ordinance, and now she will be the chairman for the ordinance committee, that we'd like to appoint Robert Kajara. We all know him quite well, from the bushes and the fences and everything else. We'd like to appoint him. I'd like the consensus of the board to appoint him to the ordinance committee. And I'd like the advice and consensus of the board to appoint Tim Verbecki to zoning and planning. Okay. So, does somebody want to make a recommendation to that effect, and we'll take a vote on it just to make sure that everybody's okay with that. So first we'll do Robert on ordinance. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. And on the roll, Beth, Kevin, Tom,
Okay.
Josh, Kyle, and Greg. Thank you. And next will be Tim Rebecki on zoning. Have a motion, recommendation.
So moved. I'll second.
Kyle, Greg, Kyle, Josh, Tom, Kevin, Beth. Thank you. Okay. The vehicle purchase, what we're doing is we had a vehicle in the budget for the facilities and maintenance person, okay? We're going to return the pickup truck that he's been using back to Public Works, because we had a pickup truck in Public Works, and that I don't think is the right vehicle for the vehicle maintenance person. I think we need something with tools. We've asked Shannon and Davey both to look at different things, and I just don't think we agree on what really is the best vehicle. I don't want to buy something, because that vehicle will probably be here for 20 years, okay? So whatever decision we make, I want to make sure it's the right one, okay? So that's it. Okay. With that, we'll go on to new business. To make sure I didn't miss anything. Mr. Johnson is here. Request for the amendment to Chapter 9. This is the first read. Liquor control and liquor licensing to increase the number of available Class A liquor licenses. This is for the old bowling alley across the river. So, do your show.
Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Good.
I'm Caleb Johnson. My partner, Ryan Conti, is unable to be here today. He's actually in Florida with another project. However, I'll be standing in. I did bring Jenny with me. She will be, if all goes well, general manager of the establishment. It's going to be in the building of the old Epic Deli, right across the river over there. We're looking to do a Tex-Mex taco style. So that will be in the building that has the bay windows right against the river right there. There will also be an outside deck built against the bay windows to allow outside deck access as well.
That's the main dining room looking at the river.
Correct. Yes.
Just the upper level?
Yeah, the upper level. So you have China Bar below, and then up on the upper level, there's those windows up there. And obviously, we all know it kind of looks a little outdated there, so we're going to be renovating a lot of it, making it look a lot easier on the eyes there, and then adding the deck. On the other side where China Bar was, or I mean where Epic Deli was, we're going to be doing a similar type of thing as the tacos, but with hot dogs. So it's going to be street-style tacos on one side. On the other side, it will be kind of fun-style hot dogs. Not your typical Chicago-style hot dogs, but kind of customizable hot dogs over there. We are looking for an A1 liquor license on the taco side, so on the side of the river, so that we can allow drinks on the upper level deck up there. And then on the other side, from what me and Ryan have discussed so far, we're looking for a regular A license over there so we can have full service as well. We have debated also possibly just doing bottled beer and wine over on the hot dog side. But as of now, we would be looking for a full service liquor license as well.
Two quick questions
Yes.
for you. So are you planning on having two separate companies?
Yes.
Okay, and then the remodel that you're talking about on the outside to make it easier on the eyes?
Yes.
So is that pretty much, you carrying it all the way around the whole entire building?
It's going to be a big deck.
Okay.
Are you just talking about the deck or just the
Yeah, you said
renovation?
you're gonna do a little outdoor renovation, make it nicer.
Yeah, so,
I mean, I know it's a big building, so.
it's a big building, yeah.
And leave the other half?
And so the other thing too, we're going to be working with Charlie and his family, the owners of China Bar there, because they're the owners of the building there. So we're going to be working with him on how far and how much we can actually work on changing the outside there. Obviously, it's an older building, and there's a lot of things that would help it on the presentation side. Okay. So we will be working with him to decide on how far we can work together on how far we can really make that renovation. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Do
Thank you.
you picture the Epic Deli as being, I heard once, a breakfast too? Breakfast and lunch, is that what you picture?
No. As of now, I mean, we could do like breakfast tacos and whatnot, but I don't, at this time, no. It would be a lunch and dinner style. And then, because of the fact that China Bar is staying late open, we would be closing at 10 or 11. So it would be a restaurant style up there, because China Bar is going to have the later night hours covered there. And we're working together on how to work together as a business there, as we're going to be sharing the property, so.
So that deck area
Yes.
is going to be at that window level, like, if you look at it from the river, it's
Yeah.
almost a second floor.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it'll be a second story. So you know how China Bar has that outside patio that goes against the river there? It'll be above that, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Are you looking to put machines in on either side?
That has been discussed as well, we would like to, if possible,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can get both sides of
Exactly, yeah, and that would help with, obviously, the renovations and whatnot as well, too, so, yeah.
They don't use that current second floor balcony now, do they?
They don't use it at all, it's vacant.
It's really a beautiful room.
It is, and it has all the kitchen, supplies and equipment already in it.
There, yeah.
And it's just sitting. So as of now, it's just wasted space, and we would like to take advantage of it and kind of put something that can bring in a good crowd. So
Right, and you got that outdoor seating out there.
it's going to be right on the river. So I mean, you're going to have the boat access too. So it's right on the river. It's going to have kind of a fun theme too. So it'll be. I'm from Florida, so I used to have a place I used to go to a lot. It's called Tijuana Flats. And it's got a really cool theme on the inside, big murals. It's not this typical authentic Mexican food. That's not what we're looking to do. We're not looking for authentic Mexican food. We're doing street-style tacos. So, not necessarily like a regular corn tortilla, steak, onion, cilantro. It's going to be kind of the more fun style with like the creme sauces and just more spiced up fun stuff on it. So, yeah.
Do you have restaurants already?
I do not. I'm a partner in actual home care agency in Libertyville. Me and my mother own First Light Home Care in Libertyville. Ryan does have some delis, and so he's also a venture in a couple other restaurants as well too. So he has more experience in the restaurant business than I do. So I'll be jumping into a industry that I'm not necessarily familiar with, but I think that I could handle. So. Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, home care, home care is close to my heart, but, yeah, it'll be nice to have a business that isn't as, wrenching on the heart sometimes, you know, so.
Are you guys planning a delivery or something? Are you gonna deliver?
That's not been discussed. What's that?
Uber Eats.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's, yep, right, so, yeah, I think Johnsburg could use something like that. I mean, we have half times here, Pizza House, we're no longer Pizza House, but whoever's going to take over that, and a few other places. I think using that space could be advantageous for the entire town. So.
Do you have a business name, restaurant name yet?
We have discussed that, and we are thinking off the chain tacos. So it's off the chain of lakes, and tacos, so off the chain tacos, so that's kind of what has been debated. We don't have a sure thing yet, but that's kind of what we've been thinking.
So what's your time frame?
Ryan is a little bit more aggressive, than I am. He's thinking July 1st. Yeah, I would love to see that happen, and I mean, I'm all for it as long as we can make everything happen at that time. But I am game. I would like to have it at least completed by the end of summer. I wouldn't want to miss all of the summer season. And if we do, then we'll see what we want to do, if we want to push it back or not. So. Yeah.
Are you utilizing the Fox River Liquors section?
No. At this point, no. It would just be the Epic Deli side and then the river front side too. Okay. So.
And then I'm sorry, did you say you're from?
I live my current residence is in Kenosha.
Okay.
My father lives in Fox Lake, actually Ingleside. I'm right off of 12 there, so I'm very familiar. My girlfriend is from actually right down Channel Beach Road right here, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. Yeah.
That's just a little bit of a difficult spot on the chain on the water.
Right.
For boats.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm completely aware of that, especially nicer boats, you know, pulling up it's not easy pulling off the river.
No, if you have help there, you know, people
right.
that help you.
We've also discussed doing one of the L piers too, where you can kind of put an L in there so it takes away from all of the
break the wakes up.
Right. So, I mean, really, that's not the biggest pool that we have. I mean, being off the water, I feel like it's more of it's just the environment, you know, the ambiance, you know, right. Yeah.
So, what we're considering is just like we did for I think we don't want to have just gaming parlors in town all over the place.
Right.
We were pretty persistent with the people that are looking at the Pizza House, that there would be a restaurant and food if we were going to allow it. And so if we're going to expand on any liquor license, which now we'd be talking 3 with the Pizza House and these 2, that we just want to be sure that there's food in a restaurant there. We're not interested in gaming parlors.
Okay. Right.
And I think the board's been pretty persistent with that message.
That's fair.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I think as long as you understand that, I
right.
think we would definitely entertain doing a liquor license.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, no, that's
what
completely
you're
fair.
looking for, right?
Yeah, right. No, definitely not just a gaming parlor, so it's going to have a lot more included.
Anybody else got any other questions or concerns? And if you think of them tonight at 2 in the morning, call Claudette.
We've been in contact with Kim. I know that you said Kim was not here today. We have been in contact with Kim a little bit here and there. And she has my information to get hold of me. So if you guys have any questions.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Could you speed up a little bit? June would be better.
Yeah. We'll do our best. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Well, we have like an update sent or,
Well, the liquor license, if you're gonna move forward, we're
Yeah.
definitely gonna go to it. We'll have another read.
Okay.
So we can approve that liquor license.
Okay.
The two classes.
Yep.
And if you're gonna have gaming, then you'll need the same class for both of them, I believe. So, and I would encourage you then, once the board agrees that they're okay with it, to get with the police chief and get the background check started, because it does take some time.
Okay.
And we gotta get our liquor license before you can get the state liquor license, so
Okay.
you could well be into July by the time all that happens.
Okay. Even
Okay.
moving on right now, okay.
Yeah, so I would move, if you're,
Yeah.
put it on the agenda for the next time to see if, they'll entertain doing it, then you'll have an answer.
Okay.
That will give you the liquor license.
So this is just a proposal basically, and then so the next meeting would be a...
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
okay, and then that would be a confirmation of whether or not it will happen or not? Okay,
We offer.
I
wonderful,
think you can move,
okay.
okay?
Awesome.
Please find a qualified architect and get your plans in sooner
Yeah.
than later.
Okay,
And also deal with the McHenry County Health Department. They do
Okay.
take a little bit, so.
okay, wonderful. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have first read also on the ordinance 19-20-3, amending certain sections of chapter 38 sewer use ordinance and chapter 39 water department general provisions of the Johnsburg Municipal Code. You had a schedule, I believe, in your packet from the Finance Committee, who wants to make sure that nobody can have a glass of water. No, I'm just So, let's have discussion on that.
Do you want me to just give a
Yes,
little overhead?
perfect.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate it. So Kim and I and the Finance Committee worked pretty hard on this. So this came to light, obviously we're working on the budget for this year too. So one of the things we also want to review is how much is the water and sewer cost going to be? Obviously today, we're giving money out of the general fund to go ahead and do that. So we have, between water and sewer, we have about 440 people or units using that today. So, for that assumption. So if you look at this money's coming back out. So in 2013, the recommendation from the Finance Committee was to go ahead and use the CPI adjustments. So, we're going back and looking at this and maybe let's retroactively do this today. It does seem like a big increase of 7.8%, but we also don't want to be in the same situation Utilities Inc. was, where they're coming back with a 200% increase, and you have people from the utility board coming back and doing it. Kim and I had a long, lengthy conversation just tonight before the meeting about that, and I think we really should instate a CPI going forward, so that this goes up gradually each year, so people don't feel a big jump on this, but also that we're keeping up to date with cost of water and everything else too. Kim's done a really good job. She's given me 5,900 pages behind the summary page to look at too. I don't know if everybody had time to read that, but I used to own a property over in Ingleside, and just with that property, I had sewer only with Fox Lake. I was paying more for that house for sewer only than I was paying for water and sewer. So I'm in my neighborhood, Len and I both live in Remington, that would be affected. So it'd be Remington, Running Brook Farms, Shiloh Ridge, and Claremont would be the other subdivision too. And then, of course, any of the commercial properties on 31 too. And as more people hook up to water and sewer, they'll have that. Part of this too is, some people do, like Fairview, have a flat sewer rate too. So we looked at that. This would go up to $34.50, but if you're on Utilities Inc. flat sewer, it's $53.30. So obviously, we're still much lower than some other competitors in the area with that as well too. So I know the increase is a little higher per se. Didn't know if you guys had any questions.
What's the feeling of everybody? Should it be looked at every year or every couple of years, or we just want to build in the CPI like Greg is suggesting? I think it should be looked at myself, but I know that maybe we don't all feel that way. I think that we went all these years without looking at it, and we did that based on the economy, basically. We knew everybody was in some hard times, and we didn't want to keep, but, I think doing a comparison, or maybe you do it every other year, so you don't have to do it, because there's always plenty of things that come up. I just don't like the idea of building the CPI in there and letting it go. I just think you gotta look at what your other neighbors are doing, and, water is not something that is a,
Resource.
Yeah, it's something you gotta have, and I think that
you know, in fairness to all the residents, I don't like the idea of building the CPI in it without looking at it. You know, because it's something you forget about. It's gonna go up with the CPI, and it just goes and goes and goes. And, you know, I know it's extra work to do it that way.
Sure,
I
sure.
just, it's just a suggestion. If you guys agree with the CPI increase, that's fine, but I don't like doing it that way. That's my suggestion.
Greg, is the idea of doing the CPI to ensure that it's happening?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
I'm okay with looking at that suggestion, as long as we build it in for the budget year, we put that month, we're doing it every year right before we do the budget, maybe come back, give that to the board to make a decision. I just don't want it to be, like what Tom's asking, I don't want to be left behind in 13, now we're looking at, we gotta do an increase quickly.
This isn't a huge increase, you know,
No.
when you look at it, I think it still puts us, you know, on the
Sure.
lower end of the spectrum.
Yes.
Especially when you look at the folks that are on Utilities Inc.,
Yeah.
water system, that live in our village, what they're paying.
Yeah, certainly not.
Thank you, Tom. But anyways, you know, so I mean, we're trying to, that's why we got into the water business really, was to control, 20 years ago, was to control the rates of Utility Inc. And, you know, think of what they would be if they would've got everything they wanted from the Commerce Commission this last go-around.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I understand the thinking of the CPI. I just don't wanna, I think doing this exercise, whether it's every other year, you know, okay, it's a CPI for next year, but doing this exercise, seeing what your neighbors charge, and making sure that, you know, if the economy turns, that we're looking at it and say, hey, these people are really hurting, you know?
Sure.
Because water is something that you need, you know? So, that's just my thoughts on it, and I entertain any discussion on it.
How was your committee's reaction and stance on this?
Yeah, I mean, overall, most of the committee members were in favor of raising it and doing an annual increase. We threw out CPI just for a number, so that would be a basis of what we're thinking on that too. We had a longer discussion too, not to make this a longer discussion, about people who get shut-offs and wait till they get the red tags and then they're calling in. So, you know, I asked Kim, like, how many people do that at the 440? She was like, 20 people are pretty bad then they're running back out, and we're sending out our people from Public Works to turn it on and off, but we're not even recouping our cost for those 20 delinquent. And only 1 or 2 people sometimes get their water turned off total. So they eventually get there. So we were talking about shut-off fees and everything else too. There was a lot of discussion around that too. So what we're also trying to do in finance is making sure if an office staff or somebody does work, that, you know, we don't want the others to have to pay for somebody else's work on that.
Sure.
I think Claudette would vouch that there's a lot of notices given before we ever turn in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's
I mean, it's not like we send a notice and we're shutting off your water.
Sure.
I mean, we go through the extreme of, you know, how can we work it out, what can we do, because we realize that we don't want to put that hardship on anybody. So
Right.
it's not like we're, you know, the villain on Christmas Eve shutting people's water
Sure.
off. You know, I don't want to, but
we work with
because it is, I like the idea of looking at it every year. I like the idea of the CPI. I just think that it's something I don't want to see us forget about. So that's why I don't just think it should be an automatic increase of the CPI all the time. And that's just my feelings. Okay. As far as the adjustment at this point in time, catching up, we're still at the, you know, relatively low end. I don't think that's out of line.
Yeah.
What was that for
7.8% for both sewer and water.
Do we have any large users of water on the commercial corridor?
Probably Walmart.
Walmart, yeah.
Walmart. It's probably the largest because of the grocery and the butchery and all that.
But they do have stores in other municipalities we've done the rates on, so they're used to paying the rates.
Right, I know, but it might be the right thing to give them a heads up. And just politically, you know what I mean, to say, hey,
Sure.
we're talking about doing this, and before you get the first bill in the mail, if you want to challenge it, come and talk to the board before we
Sure.
do it. The other thing is we've got like this new person coming in with the apartment buildings that are the proposed Bush School renovation,
If it gets approved.
and there's 50-some,
72.
72 on that. I mean, do you think that this would adversely affect
No, and especially that those users are gonna be very low volume users too, so,
One or two people
it's
there.
gonna be
The other thing
minimal impact.
is I think that, we held it for all these years, where we haven't had an increase for 7 years. Because we understood the economy was bad. I don't think it's unreasonable, it's just like if you use water and you got a well and your pump goes out, it's spread out, it's expensive, so I don't think it's unreasonable for us to recoup our costs. I just don't want to put something in place that's automatic. I don't feel good about it.
I'm fine with that too. And then, Mike, I was talking with Kim earlier tonight, but the question is, do we legally have to give, like we're just asking, I know certain things, because utility boards, you have to give so many months' notice on certain, do we have to give a notice out for so many days once we do a rate increase or so to the
No,
users?
it's just
Okay.
my co-counsel suggestion of politically,
Yeah,
reaching out to
okay.
Walmart. And then two, my concern is, I don't know to what extent other municipalities are looking to the future to set aside reserve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's some tipping point with respect to our infrastructure.
Yes.
I go to different municipalities, some are older than others.
Mm-hmm.
Hebron goes back to, I think some of their sewer mains were built in the 1860s.
Right.
They need to be setting aside more for reserves.
Mhm.
And so I understand that other municipalities, you guys don't want to be out of whack with them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be uncompetitive. We're business friendly. We want businesses to come here, we want residents, but also keep an eye with respect to, are we setting aside a reserve for whenever the useful life of these mains goes by the wayside, will we be ready? I understand the village is very concerned, very sensitive, always has been to the economy, but they keep an eye on that. And so, like I said, sure, this gives you some context, but are we doing an independent analysis to determine the useful life of a lot of these facilities? That's all. I have no idea.
We have a capital plan in place,
Capital plan.
Michael, it's already got that built in.
Okay.
Which I think
Which
is
you'll see in the
what's
budget.
driving.
This is the
This is
question
driving
in
a
the
big part
budget.
of that,
Yeah,
because
this is
it's
the
not,
next question.
it's not being supported by the sewer and water.
Right.
A big part of it's being supported by general fund.
And then two, if
Yeah.
there's 20 people who are gaming the system, there ought to be a fee in place for that.
We
I
do
don't know what
it
you want
once
to
a
call
day.
it, the false
Yeah.
start fee.
Well, I was, to go along with what you're saying, a lot of the municipalities do is for the habitual people that do this consistently, because that's when they have to pay their water bills when they shut them off, is they put a fee structure in, like a reconnection fee, or whatever you want to call it, once they're shut off, and then make it so that every time they do it, the fee doubles.
Oh.
So the first time it's $20, the second time it's $40, the third time it's $80. Okay, and it gets to a point where it teaches them bad behavior, gets you cost more money. You can even put a sun, maybe within a year, you know what I mean? But Grays Lake, Vernon Hills, a lot of these municipalities institute things like that for nuisance ordinances that people just, I'll park in front of the fire hydrant and I'll pay $100, you know what I mean? And then the next time it's $200, and the next time it's $400 for just the people that just recklessly disregard the ordinance.
Right.
So that's something to consider.
Yeah, we discussed some of that too, like how do we get them for reconnect? There's already fees today in place for that, but do we need to raise it up, or, there was probably a 20-minute discussion just around that, that we wanted to see where the effort was put involved. The numbers for how we came up with the increase was pretty easy, because we saw how we had to meet it up for the budget, and that's how Kim kind of put it in there. And then technically, this should really break even, is what it should. It shouldn't be other residents funding the ones who are on the system. That's in my opinion, isn't fair. So I think it needs to break even over time, so that's where it needs to be. More users and everything else will help as it goes on.
So, it's first rate, we'll have a chance to go through it again. If anybody wants to change their mind, I would like to see that it's looked at, and if you guys agree with that. I just think it's water, something people need. And on the same token, when you look at our competitors in our own town, the Utilities Inc., and they're at $241.86, and our proposed is $89, $90. It's crazy, I mean, we got to support our infrastructure too, so.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I do. I've done it all right with this. Thank you. Okay. Committee reports. I'm gonna switch, start off with trustee Curry, because he's always long-winded. Okay. So,
This ain't the half of it.
We have the
We got pictures tonight.
sketch plan that he put together for the Sanderwood Lake Dawnwood, and he's gonna talk about the tree planting that we, are going to let the school do, or they might already be in there. We have the plan that everybody should have got, the approved plan that we approved for Alfred May Park. We're not gonna, we can have discussion on it, and you got committees can discuss it, but we're not going to put any structures there or anything until we get the riprap in place, and trustee McAvoy will continue to work on that project, okay? But if you want to do some preliminary planning, that's all good too, okay? Trustee Curry, thank you.
All right. So with Sandalwood, Lake Dawnwood, we have 9 lots there, I think, if I remember right. 7 lots, right. So basically, the conversation there has always been with the committee since it was donated to the village, just keeping it passive, natural, a quiet park. So I think I discussed this before with the school coming in and the McHenry Land Conservancy. So the Land Conservancy is donating 45 oak trees, 3 different varieties of oak trees. They're donating those to the village. The entire 8th grade class at the junior high will plant the trees. We're going to do it on the east lots of, that would be like Dawnwood, and randomly spaced, or randomly placed, no closer than 20 feet together, and leaving room for, basically a walking path. And the idea of the walking path would just be to have that grass mowed shorter than the grass around it. Basically just creating figure 8, where the middle of the 8 crosses the street. Maybe, someday maybe do a crosswalk there at some point. But with the trees, we're leaving room along Sandalwood, up the east side of the property, at the shoreline of the pond, and then back, back in towards the intersection there. So they're going to do this on May 14th. They wanted to do it on the 1st, but with the weather, that's not working out. So I've already walked the property with Land Conservancy, and we flagged it. And then May 14th, they'll come out. The only thing they asked of us, other than a place to do this, is for 3 yards of mulch. So Shannon's working on that, and he'll drop off the mulch. And if anybody's available and wants to check it out, I'll get a time from him and let everybody know, but it will be on the 14th.
Any questions? Just out of curiosity, are you planning for like fishing piers and stuff eventually? Or, I mean, you're stopping?
Well, we haven't talked about that there because of the situations with those ponds, and if everybody remembers the pond east of Lake Dawnwood, that wasn't an association when there was an active association. That was a pond that was under the association, which is defunct and in kind of limbo, I guess. The pond on the west is where the property lines go through the pond. So we haven't discussed doing a pier there. We have talked about adding a pier off of Hickory Way, where the village owns all of the property around the pond.
Okay.
We thought that would be easier needs to be placed.
And maybe it's just a couple short periods where kids can fish up and.
Exactly.
Derby or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and, you know, not that we're approving a plan now, but if you draw that all on paper, so everybody has it as we go forward, Tim can give us input on it also, of different ideas.
Yeah.
And you can have them for your committee, so we don't have a predicament, okay?
And as far as May Park, the only thing that the committee has really come up with, when we talk about the riprap and all, is, you know, a couple of those guys are local 150 operators and move dirt and everything for a living. So when we discuss the cost of, you know, that riprap, you know, they were hoping we could come up with some ideas where it would be less expensive, doing some things in-house, or, you know, different possibilities. Now, I'm a carpenter by trade, I don't put in riprap,
Well,
and I don't operate machinery, so.
I'll let Tim address that a little bit, because, I mean, we have a permit that's required and everything that, from the Waterway or Army Corps, and we have to follow that, it's very strict, we just can't go in there with a bunch of cowboys and start doing shoreline creations, and we gotta be careful. We gotta be very careful on how we do it. We've already been down that road several years ago when we tried to use busted up concrete, I believe, that was sort of, you know, okay, but it's there, and it worked, and, you know, so we want to make the riprap not only functional for the breaking up the waterway, but we also want everything we do on all these places, we want to do it right and check it off the list, so we're not doing it, you know. I want to, my comment, Kevin, when we started that, you know, and I had Kevin involved because he's a boater and he knows what you need for boat widths and what works good for the current there, and we knew he was familiar with Public Works as far as what washed in and what we were cleaning out, and we tried to address those things with Tim, and you know, we want to have it something that looks really good. It's one of our only riverfront access. I want that to look like Lake Geneva. I don't know, we'll have to dye the river, but that's okay. You know, we want to be, that it's really functional. We use a lot of people use it. You know, in another week, he can just sit there and write tickets with his guys because there's no stickers on cars, then go use it and write them up. Because we're making it nice for them, we're doing a nice job, and, I mean, where can you launch a boat for 2 years for 20 hours? I mean, it's ridiculous, you know? And we got a nice pier there and a nice setup, and we're gonna make it nicer, so we wanna follow what's going on. Now, I'm not against the 150 guys doing it if they follow the plan, and we can come up with how do we control it? Because we can't just decide, and I'm not picking on anybody of the 150 guys, and you know who I might be talking about, but we can, we're not going to, I asked him if we could get a permit to reclaim some of that stuff that washed out. We can't, right, Tim?
Right.
Okay, so I don't want those guys to think we can and try to do it, because we're just going to get in trouble.
Sure.
Okay? So that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So as long as Tim can come up with a plan and you think they can do some of the work, I don't think Davey is going to argue with you, or Public Works, or Shannon. They'll be happy to let that do, but we got to have some type of control on it.
Yes.
So as long as that's understood.
We have a plan, we have a permit, so the process is whatever's out there has to be taken away, and the new boulders have to match exactly so we don't impact the compensatory storage at all.
Okay.
So the thought is take away as much of the broken concrete and just take it to Public Works or use it to freshen up drainage ways. But as they take that somewhere, they come back with, and I talked to Claudette, talking to local gravel or pit operators and seeing if they have boulders of the appropriate size. We're talking 18, 24-inch plus.
Okay.
The little stuff's not gonna work. So there's a pile of rock out on 31. We're communicated with the owner. When Pertano was doing the project, he was open to it, and Mr. Fuller went away. But there are projects like that, that when we do find, like that pile of boulders there, would work perfectly along the edge of the ramp.
Yeah,
That's about as much as it would do.
Yeah.
But, again, if we work with people and want to start where the ramp is and do a section, take it out, do a section, and try to work with contractors who would donate time, donate or help with the boulders.
Right.
That's the only way, in our opinion, it would be affordable in the near future, because those things are very expensive.
Sure. Yeah, and that was their goal, was to,
Yeah.
you know, save the village money, move the process
Sure.
along quicker, to make it, you know, what we'd all like it
Well,
to be. So-
we're gonna budget for it so much a year and try to get something done every year.
I've already laid that out with Kim.
Right, yeah.
Kim's
So,
got
I just want, and we appreciate the help, but, I mean, the type of boulders Tim's talking to, and, you know, maybe those guys can get the equipment to move that type, because we don't even have probably the stuff in-house to do it. And, you know, I'm not, Rick's getting ready to donate them, you know?
Well, the question I have is typically you guys do this is stuff is done with actual riprap, which is fractured limestone. It's square, okay? That stuff's expensive, but boulders of that size are exorbitantly expensive. So I guess the question I have is,
We want boulders.
are you guys sure you want the round rocks, and you sure you want to pay for them?
I think we're
I
sure.
think so.
Okay.
I think we wanna do it.
You know, maybe,
You know.
maybe we're doing, 1/5 of that wall a year.
Well, the other thing that you're gonna.
We wanna get it done right, and we wanna cross it off the list and make sure it's something that we're proud of. And I think we wanna do that with all the parks that we're doing, you know? Every project that we've undertaken, like the hill, okay, time out, do the fence, do it right, we want it to be right, you know? With our park here, we took times out and looked at it, and I think we wanna do it right and cross it off the list, you know? And it's something that gets used a lot. I'm all for keeping some green space there, if we can. Well, obviously, we gotta do the boulders first. They gotta be, you know, like Tom said, you can't put the foundation in before build the house before the foundation, and we gotta get that shoreline stabilized before we go forward with any, you know, pavilion or, you know,
Anything in the
shelter
park,
or
right.
benches or anything else. I mean, you know, it just makes sense, you know?
I had a
Do it right.
question. Say we could get the boulders from a certain company, they would want maybe an advertisement, you know, rip rap wall donated by blah, blah, blah. Is that something we see that would fit there? A
Yeah.
company name?
Yes.
A little sign?
Yeah, to me,
I don't object to that.
Okay.
No, we're all for that. In fact, Kyle, I would like to encourage, you know, we got a lot of great ideas with a lot of great parks and everything else. I would like to encourage, you know, and somebody brought up, and I haven't talked to Tom about it yet, but somebody brought up, like at Rescue Squad Park. It's the center of town, and all the activities that take place at the community club, we really should have a nice playground set there, like we have here in Rescue Squad Park, because it's something where, as the parents are at Soften and Spiel, and the kids got the rides out there, that they can use, and it doesn't cost anybody a lot of money, which we've always considered for the younger families, having stuff that doesn't cost them an arm and a leg, you know, and they can enjoy in the celebrations. So I think that's a great idea there, but the other part of that is, you know, as we come up with these ideas, and I told the person that suggested it to me, is, okay, how can we do a fundraiser to do some of that? I mean, you know, we study the budget, we go over the budget, and, you know, Claudette knows that I got about 200 projects that she keeps saying that you can't do. Okay, not that we're broke, but we're very conservative on moving forward with anything, okay? And I think that, yeah, the money's there, we can do a lot of it. In a couple of years from now, if you look at the charts, and we'll go into that when we review the financing, there's gonna be a lot more money involved, but we'll have a lot more things that we let go those 2 years in order to get there, like roads and infrastructure and things that we wanna do, capital improvements, okay? And that's going to, the floodgates are going to open, you know, at a few years down the road for us if the economy stays and if the sales taxes go up. But, you know, some of those people that we've helped and got our town through those agreements, you know, that's where we're going to really reap the harvest of it 8, 10 years later, and we'll be able to do it. Now, we don't want to just spend all that money now and pay interest on it. We want to do things right, cross those projects off the list, just like the breakaway lights and everything else, have a model in place that we can follow and move forward with. So that's what we're working on. Not that we'd love to do it now, it's just like, you know, if my wife would run our household like I run the village, or like that, I should say run the village, I'd be farther ahead too. But I don't want to blame her for everything, because I do this stuff too. So anyways, so she always refers, I said, well, if you do it like that, we'll do it. Your other wife. So she does it. So anyways, I think that, you know, we're very close to being at a really significant time in the village's history in about 2 years, and we'll get into that when we do the budget, okay, a little bit. And so, yeah, we'd like all these things to be done now, but 2 years from now, I think you will see that we can really move forward with a lot more things. So we're that close. So.
On that note, last night, the Captain Ron's, they put in piers and all.
Captain Rod?
Yeah, I don't know if we have an agreement with them, but that's where they took their boat out of the water when I was down there last night. So, I don't know if they're paying to do that, or...
We were just talking about that. I think they got a sticker,
Did they?
out of residence sticker, so they have to pay $100 to.
And we, you know, usually when they use that ramp, they're doing work for our residents too. I mean, they're doing shore stations, lifts, boat lifts for our residents, piers. So I think, you know, since they are doing work for our residents and they're using our ramp and they pay the non-residents fee, I think that's a fair deal.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, those are paying for it. All right, the wine tasting, I just, Jill and I exchanged some texts yesterday, and then she got me on the phone right before coming here, so I'll give you a synopsis. But basically, the committee is discussing, you know, their concerns with the wine tasting. Has it run its course? How it's more and more difficult to sell tickets to the wine tasting. And they're brainstorming different ideas for the same night. So we'd still do an event that night. Maybe it involves some food trucks, maybe it involves a movie there, maybe it involves a small band. There's a bunch of different things they're bouncing off of each other, and trying to come up with something that will be, you know, fun, entertaining, and less costly than the wine, because, you know, we were keeping the ticket price at, you know, like $30 a person, but a lot of the people, you know, they get a babysitter, and then they spend their $30 a person, and then they buy glasses of wine there, and then they get cocktails at the community club, and then it becomes an expensive night. So, that's a lot of the feedback that they're getting. So, right now, just to give everybody a heads up, they're talking about not having a wine tasting, but some other event that night, you know, at Rescues Club Park. So, our meeting's next Tuesday, so as this comes together, I'll let you guys know. Then the only other things, not on here, but with you know, parks and Remington. So Claudette let me know that there's about $10,000 that's been paid in from closings into their park. But
In Remington?
correct, yeah. But their park is in phase 2 or 3, and we seem to be stuck in phase 1 there. And
There is a lot there.
We have an outlot.
right,
They have an outlet at the end of,
End of J
J.
and Ella. There's an outlot. It's got like,
That's-
it's,
Originally, that was supposed to be a parking lot for the
conservation
Right.
thing that we ended up
Yeah, you're talking
selling
back
to
to-
Modine because of the
And they both picked up,
Uh,
they're not drive through there anymore.
contaminated soils, we didn't want to deal with it. So,
They aren't, they have their own.
Yeah, so
so
that's,
we still have an outlet there that could be used for something.
yeah, and that's the lot I was looking at.
A1, yeah.
So, Rob Lumpkin, you know, is the association president there.
Right.
So that we were speaking a little bit, you know, and we were gonna get together, you know, once I had a dollar amount, we were gonna talk a little bit about the possibility of, you know, creating a park in that corner, you know, because they've got their money sitting there doing nothing, and we don't know what the developer is doing from what I
And
understand.
by that time, it might be big enough that they can have two
Right.
parks,
Yeah, 'cause
I mean, for the,
The distance of phase
Sort of
two will
the
go around,
distance,
because you
yeah.
can't get across the water.
I think one thing we don't want to do there is it turn into a trailer park where people are parking trailers and stuff because.
As was the fear
That's what
before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you have
that's
that
what-
parking ordinance now, so
Right.
that they can't park there without permission.
So I'm gonna talk to Rob Lumpkin, and, you know, we'll get together, bounce some ideas, and maybe he can,
The other thing too is, you know, maybe they're willing to do some fundraising for that too. If they only got $10,000 and need more, you know, I mean,
right,
you know, I think,
50.
you know.
you know, all the
It's
park.
not as big as Running Brook though.
No, Running Brook Park was 70 for what we had so far.
And it's not done.
Right, we still have some more to do, so, but yeah, so I would think 50, like I said, it's smaller, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
but
Well, if you
yeah.
need me, I mean, Len's here too, he's part of the homeowners association board as well, so, we'll sit down with you if you want.
Yeah, that's.
I can see it now. The check from Greg.
Oh, no,
Sunshine
I-
Park.
you need the park,
Sunshine
yeah.
Park.
I want a half-circle basketball thing in there, like the N1 league.
That's only 25,000.
Can't
But you want the left, you want the 500.
All right, the last two things real quick, one is, a gentleman, I'm gonna, because I already looked it up. Is it Daniel, Mr. Dan, help me out, Claudette, where's his name? He donated the backboard.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna, you know, I'll tell you what.
Daniel.
I'll look it up here, because I feel bad that I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. Well, you know, while I'm looking at it, the other thing is that I keep asking about it, because people keep harping on me about it. But, are we any farther with the bids for the concrete, for the Pace bus stop in May and?
Yes,
and
I got a
Johnsburg?
report today from them. It's
Okay.
not- The village of Johnsburg is not holding anybody up.
Right, yeah,
He just placed the order for the 3 shelters today.
okay,
They traditionally take 90 days
all right,
for delivery, but this manufacturer has not hit a delivery date for Pace in the last year, so he set the plan on about 120 days.
okay,
So, August is the targeted delivery date. It comes in on crane, it's fully built at their factory, and then they set it. So we will be well ahead of them, because we were planning on having the pads, the 2 pads we're responsible for are May, which is a sidewalk, a crosswalk, ADA ramp to a pad. That'll be ready in June, July.
okay,
And then the roundabout pad is a pad with a connection extension to the existing sidewalk. That is ours too. And then Rescue Squad Park, they're responsible to excavate, pour the concrete, do everything. And so the only thing we're doing there is removing that 3-foot diameter tree and flattening it, and then we're out. And so, he saw no problem. He was quite pleased, because we gave him our plans 2 months ago.
yeah,
I finally called yesterday, and I told him we had a board meeting tonight, so literally at 3 o'clock, he gave me this update.
okay.
So you can let everybody know, probably end of August.
It hasn't been forgotten about, for sure. I mean, I ask
Oh, no.
about it at least once a week.
Yeah,
Absolutely, how we're moving in Tim, so. Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn? Kyle's gotta get out of here, so we'll blame it on him, shortening up the meeting. We gotta get pictures done real quick.
Oh.
So, with that, is there anything else in the Okay, have a motion to adjourn. Motion by trustee McAvoy, second by trustee Hagan. On the roll, trustee Foreman. Trustee McAvoy. Trustee Curry. Trustee Hagan. Trustee Frost. And trustee Clements. Motion carried.